Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to make active 3D glasses work for dual play. Dual play is a mode that you can play in most first-person shooters like Call of Duty here, where if you have a 3D television, you both can play the video game multiplayer in full screen mode rather than split screen. Start off with what you need. So to begin with, you'll need a soldering iron and just basic soldering skills. There's nothing major here. A small computer Phillips screwdriver. Standard size won't work. The Phillips screws in the glasses are very small. You might need some solder and some small wire. I used the smallest I could find, which happened to be tying wire. And then lastly, you'll see a pair of clips down there on the bottom. Those just help for holding the small wire and everything. So let's get into the disassembly. First thing you'll want to do is take your glasses and remove the earpieces. I'm currently using the Samsung glasses. They're the cheapest $20 active glasses I could find. And I'm also using the Samsung television, so that's why I use those. Once you remove the earpieces, you can go ahead and remove the battery cover. You just push it one way and pull the other. There's two little tabs that hold it in. Usually comes out pretty easily. Next, you'll be removing the 3 Phillips screws that are in the top portion of the glasses. These hold the top of the glasses together and the circuit board on the inside in place. You just use your small Phillips screwdriver to remove these. They don't take much. They're very small screws, so I just set them off to the side and try not to lose them. The only thing that's holding these glasses together is basically those three screws, and then there's glue around the edges, or the frames parts of the glasses that hold the two sides together. Once you get your 3 screws out, I take a little screwdriver and I put it in the end and I just pry the 2 pieces apart. Right there, that helps to break the glue at the edge there without actually breaking anything. Once I do that, I take a little screwdriver, a little pry piece, and I put in there. And the best way that I've found to do this is to hold it with one thumbnail while I use the other thumbnail to put in the gap there and then just go all the way around the edge. Starting from the top and working down towards the nose piece, as I'm doing here. I do speed up the video here in a minute, but I show you basically how I get started. And you just want to continue to go all the way around with your thumbnail like that, breaking the glue as you go. Obviously, if you have longer thumbnails, it may work a little better. It just happens to be the tool that I used because it makes it a little easier to get in there and you don't end up breaking the glasses. The glasses are very thin and they're hard to do. So I start at the top and work my way to the nose piece on one side, and then I go ahead and I flip the glasses over and I do the same thing on the other side. Once I get it all the way around to the nose piece, it becomes a little easier to pry them open because you have a little bit more room there, and the nose pieces are a little stronger, so they're able to support it a little better. But the closer you get to the nose piece or the further you pry around, the better off you'll be breaking the glue there, and you don't chance accidentally breaking one of the frames. If you do, it's no big deal. It happened on one of my pair of glasses. A little bit of super glue goes a long way. So you see I pried it open. You end up with 2 pieces. You end up with one piece that has the button on top, and that's what lines up for the on-off switch. And then the other piece which has the lenses still intact and the circuit board attached to it. From here, all you do is you end up pulling the glasses out. You want to be careful when you pull it off because the lenses may have a little bit of residual glue that's still attached to them. So it's best to pry the lenses up first and get them loose on both sides before you try and take the circuit board off. Which is what I do there. Now you have the main part that we're going to be working with. Basically, it's just a circuit board with the lenses attached by 2 ribbons at 2 connection points. And as you can see here, there is a RS and an LS. It stands for the right side lens and the left side lens. What we're going to end up doing for dual play is taking and making both lenses right side for one of them, and then you'll want to make another pair of glasses to make both lenses left side. So pick one side and take your soldering gun and just tap it on the contacts above until they loosen up and you remove the solder, and that lens comes off of the glasses. You can see there's 2 contacts there, as well as the other side. That's it for disassembly. Now we'll go into the assembly portion. Here's where you take your small wrapping wire and you're going to cut 3 pieces. One a little long and another one to match the length. And then lastly, you're going to be cutting one small piece for wrapping wire, or for your jumper cable. Once you get all 3 pieces cut, you're going to want to strip the ends of them. Just take them individually. This is where I use my clamps there to make it a little easier to hold on to. Like I said, the wires are very small and my fingers aren't that dexterous. I just use my knife here and I take a little piece of the end off, a little piece of the coating to expose the wire underneath. I just remove it and I have the wire exposed, and I do that to both ends. You can use whatever you want. Some people have wire strippers for that size. Some people use their teeth. I just use my knife. It makes it a lot easier. You want to make sure you get all the plastic coating off around it, because the wires are so small, any plastic coating in there could end up, when you try and solder it back to the connections, could end up making an insulated connection there and you won't have a very good one. So once you finish your first one, you're going to want to go ahead and do that to the 2 remaining wires, which you can see I've done here. Finish them, including the very small wire. So the first thing I like to start with is the small wire. It goes underneath everything else, and it's easiest to start with that one. Plus it's so small, it makes it easier when everything's out of the way. So first thing you want to do is bend it into a U shape that fits between the 2 connection points that you just removed for the other set of lenses. What we're doing here is we're just jumpering across them. We're basically making one side connect to the other side. If you do not do this, you don't have a complete circuit and your glasses will not work. You'll know this because when you turn on the glasses, the light will flash back and forth, just red and green. So using the solder that's already there, I take and I solder one side to it, and then I solder the other side to the other connection. It's pretty strong. There's, like I said, there's enough residual solder there, you don't really need to use yours much. It's only if you end up taking too much off, you may want to add a little solder to the connection and then stick your pieces in there. But I do the entire build without using my solder one time. I just use the leftover solder. So next thing you want to do is take your wire, your other longer wires, and attach one on top of the other lens. You don't actually have to remove this one because there is solder on both top and bottom of those connections. So I just take and I soften the solder on the one side, stick in my wire to it, and then I go ahead and I grab the other wire and I do the same thing but with the other connection point. So from here comes another important part of this video. You want to make sure you get your connections right. So once you solder your two wires on, you're going to want to cross them, because you want one wire to go to one side of the other set of glasses and the other one to go to the other side. That's so that they get the same power on both. So you'll notice the way they're curved on their ribbon, you want to make sure you're connecting the right ones. So once you cross them, I end up flipping it over just so I can solder to that side of the connector. And I put the glasses just like they look in the lens, only skewed. So one up from the other. And I take the wire that I just crossed and I solder it to the connection. And again, if you do happen to do these backwards, when you turn on your glasses, you'll notice that only one side of the glasses actually turn on and see anything. The other side doesn't actually turn on. If this happens, you'll know that you got your wires backwards. You just need to desolder them from here and cross them, or switch them on sides. So once you solder the one to the connector, you can go ahead and grab the other one and solder it. You'll notice that I took those wires and I put them facing the circuit board or running across the circuit board. I do this so that they're not sticking down on the nose piece. Makes it a little easier for me. It just kind of puts the wires facing in the right direction to begin with, so that they're all laying across the circuit board at the end of the build and not sticking out of the frame anywhere. So here I grab the other wire and I set it on the other connector using my soldering iron and the leftover solder that's already on the connector. I go ahead and I just make the connection. It really doesn't take much to get it to secure. So from here, I end up taking and flipping my glasses back over. And now I fold the wire down, holding the ribbon, taking care to keep it nice and flat so it doesn't bend up. There are some small connections in there, and if you bend that ribbon, it ends up breaking those connections. And you just fold it across your board there. Once you get it all done and everything where you want it and your lens pieces mostly lined up, you take your frames. You'd like to start with the one with the switch on it, and you put your glasses in there. It makes it a lot easier to start with the switch because the circuit board has to kind of go underneath it, and you want to make sure that the button on the circuit board lines up with the press button on the glasses frame. From here, you just line up all your glasses, make sure they fit in there nicely and are set in the frames properly. And you take and you put your other side on and sandwich them in there. Once I get to this point, I like to look around to make sure no wires are sticking out or anything protruding from the pieces. And if it is, just take a little screwdriver and you can push it back in or remove the piece and bend them up a little bit. You'll also want to make sure that you don't break any of the wire connections when you're moving that stuff around. And like I said, just make sure everything fits together, clamps right, and all your pieces are in place. And go all the way around. You'll notice the frames don't actually stick together at this point. They were held together by glue. That's what I use again. I just take a little couple drops of super glue and I put them in the corners and any other part that's spread, and it usually works very well with me. I don't do the whole frame piece, only because it makes it much more difficult to take apart in case something does happen to become misaligned in the future. Here you just take your 3 Phillips screws and you put them back in place, and that'll hold it together enough to put the battery back in place and test them. Before you glue, you want to make sure you test your glasses. Like I said, when you push the button, if it blinks and flashes red, green, red, green, red, green, that means that you have a short somewhere, or one of your wires has become broken and no longer makes a connection. So make sure you test it before you glue it. That way you can take it back apart much easier and fix the problem. And like I said, if you have it where only one of your lenses comes on and the other one doesn't, it typically means that you didn't hook up those two wires properly. So once you get your screws back in, go ahead and put the battery cover back in place. And then lastly, you can put your earpieces back on. And then it comes down to testing the final product. So here you can see I turned it on and it flashes red a couple times, red, green. That's what I'm talking about at a short. I'm not sure that I actually had one because I just reset it here and it turns right back on. So I tested a few times and it actually worked. So here's the final product. Here I'm going to be showing you Black Ops 2. It's the game I was currently playing with Dual Play, and how to set it up. First thing you want to do is go down to Options. And this is to get your game and TV both in dual mode. Once you're in Options, you go down to Graphic Settings, and there's a little selection there called Dual Play. You go ahead and enable that, confirm it, and it brings it up on the screen like this. Usually it ends up putting one on top of the other. Like split screen mode almost. That's because I haven't set my TV to 3D mode yet. Using the Samsung, if you push your 3D button, some options come up on the screen. You have normal 3D, and then you have two options next to that, which is two people side by side, and then two persons one on top of the other. This is the different types of split screen. If you choose the one, two persons one on top of each other, which is typically how this game plays, you have a split screen vertically. If you had to play a game that played split screen horizontally, then you'd select the other option. From here, you just start your game as normal. I'm doing just a local game here, where the players start out with both a crossbow and the tactical knives. You'll see here in a minute how the original glasses work, and then how the glasses that we modified worked. Just remember, you'll need two glasses for this build. One for the putting them on the left side lens, and then the other one attaching to the right side lens. If you end up doing them both on the right side lens, then you're going to get the same image, and you're both going to be watching the same player. So make sure you do them opposites, because one's for the other one. If you look at the TV like normal, you'll see there's two screens there. And this is the normal pair of glasses. This is what you would normally see. As you see, one lens sees the crossbow, the other lens sees the knife. That's what you normally have with a pair, because they're doing one lens on both. Here is the changed one. So you see, this one here sees only the crossbow. So full screen, only seeing the crossbow. And if you use the other pair of glasses that we put on the other lens, you'll see here, all you see is the knife. So it works very well. There is some slight ghosting you can kind of see. I played with the settings a little bit, and most of that went away. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you have a fun build, and good luck.